Good day and welcome once again. We are continuing with our class, and now we're taking the second study unit that talks about product and product classification. I'm trying to share my screen with you so that we can all flow while the class is going. Okay. Yeah, so here we're going to talk about the products as one of the key elements of marketing mix. When we talk about the product, we're looking at a bundle of satisfaction. It is the main thing for which people have interactions with marketing executives, salespeople, with organizations as a whole, because there is a product to sell. And this product can be a service, can be an activity, can be a person, can be a place, can be an idea. So it is not just physical objects in all cases. Sometimes you buy services, sometimes it's a place. For instance, a tourist attraction, or a hotel, or a game reserve. It can be a person. We'll talk about political office holders. It can be an idea. And we talk about some ideologies of maybe some non-governmental organizations and what have you. Well, this product can be differentiated into three different aspects. Every product can be differentiated into three different aspects. First is the core product. Second is the actual product. Third is the augmented product. When we talk about the core product defines the key benefits that is being sought in the consumption of that product. For instance, a lot of us use cell phones, not because of the brand, not because of the color, but the key thing we want from the cell phone is connectivity. To be able to reach out to somebody over a long distance. Connectivity. People who go to a makeup store or a makeup studio, what they want, the key thing they're looking for is beauty. That becomes the core product. So the core product is the goods or service itself without any amenity, as defined by Kotler and Armstrong in 2013. Now, what is the actual product? The actual product relates to elements such as the design, the color, the packaging, and other physical dimensions. Underline, physical dimensions. The actual product is interested in the things we see. The things we see. In our world today, a lot of people have taken interest in what we call conspicuous consumption. You're consuming not because of the core thing, but because of the prestige that comes with it. So one can buy an iPhone, not because of any other thing, but because of the prestige that comes with using an iPhone. The same thing happens to maybe exotic car brands like Lamborghini. It is not because of his fuel economy, not because he moves faster, but just because he has a name. So these are the actual product components: the design, the color, the packaging, the features that we can see. And the third is the augmented product. The augmented product is some added value that comes with the core product, some added value. It could be in the form of warranty, it could be in the form of after-sales services. In essence, it doesn't contribute to the satisfaction derived from consumption of the product. However, it makes the total customer experience memorable. That's the augmented product. Ironically, several persons, each of these aspects of product appeal differently to different persons. So one may be more interested in the actual, another may be more interested in the augmented, another may be more interested in the core. Also, their level of importance varies according to product. Sometimes persons buying some technical products, maybe some office machines, may be more interested in augmented products to see how far the organization could be able to render, can be of help in cases where they have challenges, cases where they need some repairs, cases where they need some guide and all of that. So it varies from products, it varies from persons as well. Now let's take a look at the product classification. Product classification. Broadly, we could classify products into two. And this classification is on the basis of the user. The basis of the user. We classify products as consumer goods, and we could also classify products as industrial goods. When we talk about consumer goods, we're looking at products that are purchased for final consumption. It does not go through any other production process. It doesn't go through any other refinement. It is consumed in the state where it is, and it's not for resale. I'll explain that. Consumer goods basically are goods or products that are purchased primarily for final consumption, without further production, without further processing, and it is not for resale. Industrial goods, on the other hand, are purchased either for resale or to be used in further production process. Now, each of these classifications has sub-classifications. Consumer goods should classify or sub-classify them as convenient goods, shopping goods, specialty goods, and unsought goods. Now, let's look at each of these sub-classifications. Convenience goods, they are purchased frequently and with a minimal effort. And as such, in the course of purchasing convenience goods, the consumer does not need to be involved in serious or intense information gathering about the product because they are purchased frequently. For instance, if you want to buy a loaf of bread, you don't go about asking your neighbor which bread is best to be consumed. If you want to buy a pen, you don't go about searching online to find the brand that is best. These are convenience goods. So they are purchased with minimal effort. You just walk across the street and you make these purchases. You can buy detergent anytime, you can buy washing soaps anytime. So you involve yourself in little or no effort in gathering information and then making decision about it. Second is shopping goods. Now, shopping goods involves a bit of comparison prior to the selection and purchase. These goods are, compared on the basis of suitability, on the basis of quality, on the basis of price and style. For instance, furniture, clothing. If you're buying a suit for your wedding, for example, you take some time to look at your friends who have wedded in the recent past, to look at the colors, to look at the fittings, to look at the style before you make selection. You can also go online to search for information about the materials and all whatnot. So there is some reasonable shopping efforts made in the purchase of these items. They are not just things you wake up, you walk into the shop across the street and you buy. In most cases, you take some time to find out things about them. Also, we have electronics in this category. For instance, if you're buying a generator set, for example, possibly it's the first time you're buying a generator set, there are high chances that you will ask around about the brand, about the horsepower, about the capacity, about the fuel efficiency. So you make comparison on several platforms to see which one you're selecting prior to purchase. Now, the third sub-classification is specialty goods. Specialty goods. From the word specialty, this is a special category. They have unique characteristics and brand identification. And special purchasing effort is involved in buying these goods. By implication, this implies that for a consumer who wants to make purchase of these goods, it takes special purchasing efforts. For example, cars, or to be more specific, exotic cars. If you're buying a car, it is not the amount of effort you take into finding out the best brand that suits you, that suits your lifestyle, that suits your economic status, that suits your social strata. All right. It's much more than when you're buying a pair of jeans. So specialty goods involve special purchasing efforts because the consumer is considering the extent to which a wrong choice will affect his or her satisfaction. In most cases, people who are buying cars for the first time, or who are buying their first cars, have been found to make some wrong choices. You see them, if I had known, I wouldn't have gone for this brand. I wouldn't have gone for this model. I wouldn't have, they have several things they wish they had done differently. These are specialty goods and need some special purchasing effort to avoid post-purchase dishonesty. And lastly, under consumer goods category, we have the unsought goods. Unsought goods. Now, these are goods that consumers do not necessarily want to buy, in as much as they will need them at a time, but they do not ordinarily want to buy, and they do not care to know about them in most cases. For example, life insurance, caskets. Nobody is moved, except in contemporary age where the enlightenment is growing. But nobody is moved ordinarily to want to think of saving money that will be spent after his death. Or nobody passes across a funeral home and begins to admire a casket. And I would like to buy this. Nobody does that. These are unsought goods. So these unsought goods require more advertising and personal selling efforts. As we may see, staff of insurance companies always and everywhere looking out for customers to patronize them. So let's look at industrial goods category. As I said earlier, when we talk about industrial goods, the line of demarcation between industrial goods and consumer goods is that these goods are not for final consumption. They may be used they may be for resale or for use in further processing. And this can be further classified into three: materials and parts, capital items, and supplies and business services. Now we'll talk about materials and parts. These are goods or products that enter the manufacturing process completely. They go into the manufacturing process completely. And in the end product, you find it difficult to identify them, especially the raw material. For component parts, you could see them, fitted here and there. But the raw materials are transformed completely into something else. Could have things like width, which are used in, maybe manufacturing flour, or maybe you could also have flour used in production of pastry products like bread. In the bread, you can hardly identify the flour you used. So these are industrial goods category. So they are used in further processing to get a final product. The second classification of industrial goods are capital items. The capital items are goods that are used to facilitate the development of finished products. from the name capital items, they are more or less machineries that are used in the production process. You can call them the manufacturing equipments, or installations that are used, or office equipment that are used in producing the finished goods. So they do not in themselves go into the production process, but they facilitate the end product. And then the last category, the supplies and business services. These are also what we call office supplies. They are short-lasting goods and services that facilitate the development and management of finished goods. These are office consumables. We could talk about printing ink, papers, invoices, what have you. They facilitate the business process generally, but do not form part of the production process nor end product. Now the second P of the marketing mix element, the price. A lot of times when we talk about price, what comes to mind is money or monetary value of goods. That is not totally wrong. However, let us not lose sight of the time of barter, where goods you exchange for goods. So I would like to explain or define price to mean anything given up in order to get something else in value. It may be monetary, it may not be monetary. And pricing decisions for consumers in some cases are difficult, and in some cases are also complex. Because a consumer may be faced with a situation where he or she is at a crossroad on whether he's making the right decision or not, and whether he can also get a better bargain somewhere or not, and also whether the value he's giving up and the value he's receiving is equivalent. So at the time, pricing decisions could be complex for consumers. Also for the seller, it can also be difficult to fix a price on a product because several factors are brought into consideration. The cost of production, the competition, the image or the prestige the seller wants that product to have. The reason why gadgets like Samsung are more expensive than other of their contemporaries, say Techno, may not necessarily be in performance, but image. The same goes for Apple products. The image they want their products to have. So to fix a price on a product is also a challenging task. So we're going to look at several pricing strategies that organizations can use depending on the marketing objectives they are pursuing at the time. First, we look at the premium price. Premium price. By premium pricing, we mean The pricing strategy whereby a seller fixes a price that is higher than what competitors are offering. It is important to note that the only time this strategy can work effectively is where the seller is assured of a unique selling point. There must be a distinctive competitive advantage the product has over competitors for this strategy to be successful. It could be that the company has made a name for quality. It could be that the brand has, a prestige outlook, so much so that it is for a particular class of the society, as you can see with exotic cars and the likes. So this strategy is also good for brands or products that are entering the market for the first time, possibly with something new, and with the aim of getting the best from the product at that early stage of the life cycle. The second strategy is penetration pricing. Penetration is a direct opposite of premium pricing. The aim of penetration is to capture a large market share by entering the market at a low price relative to what competitors are offering. This strategy is believed that if the product comes in with a low price, consumers will be more disposed to part with money to have a test of the new product. And if it is a good product, they can increase price over time. That's the way this strategy is designed. However, it may lead to some financial loss for the company, but if it works well, it promises to, generate a high return over the coming years for the organization, and also create a higher awareness. Because with the low price, a higher number of people are inclined to use the product and also tell people about it. Also, another strategy is the economic pricing. Economic pricing is a familiar pricing strategy for some brands. And the strategy works by taking a low-cost approach to pricing a product. And the essence is that we are fixing this low-cost approach without also making the product so wonderfully made. It could be for some unbranded products or some not too fancy product that just has a core benefit to give to consumers. It is believed that this strategy is aimed at satisfying some very price-sensitive segments of the market. We also have the price skimming. Price skimming is an interest pricing strategy. By interest pricing strategy, I mean it is used mostly in situations where products are being introduced into the market for the first time. And the essence is to maximize revenue at that entry stage before competitors can come in with similar products. So, and also it helps the organization to recoup the reasonable part of the costs put into the product development. The next is the psychological pricing. When we talk about psychology, we refer to the mind. And by psychological pricing, is a pricing strategy that is used by marketers to play on consumers' mind, such that the consumer feels or thinks he's getting something different or something lower, whereas in essence, the difference is not significant. This strategy is used today by most of the supermarkets around. For instance, you go to ShopRite, maybe a bottle of wine you buy across the street for 1,002. You see it in ShopRite for 1,900, sorry, for 1,199. Psychologically, you feel it's cheaper, psychologically. However, it may actually be more expensive. I'll tell you why. Possibly because you've taken transport, you've burnt fuel to that destination. But because that is in a ShopRite, it's lesser than 1,002. You find it's cheaper. You think it's cheaper. It's a psychological pricing strategy. Because when you think of 99 naira and 100 naira, you know that 99 is lesser. So, but however, it's psychological because the savings may not be significant, considering other things that may be put in place to actualize that trip. Next is the variable or flexible pricing. By variable pricing, is a strategy where the same quantity of product of the same quality is sold to different customers at different prices, depending on their bargaining power or other relationships. So I could sell the same brand of phone of the same model for 30,000 to customer A and sell for 28,000 to customer B. Maybe because customer B is my colleague at work. That is variable price. Or maybe because customer A, I perceive him to come from the upper class. That's variable price. So, however, this strategy could also lead to some level of dissonance if the customers get to know that they are paying more for the same thing that others are paying lesser for. They begin to feel a level of dissatisfaction from that particular transaction. We'll also look at promotion, or what we may call marketing communication. And by promotion, we mean the firm's communication with customers that is aimed to inform them, to persuade them, and to remind them of their products, of its benefits. It is important that organizations manage their communication very well, because that is the point where they sell that product to the consumer. If a communication is not properly managed, consumers may not understand what the products do. Consumers may not also understand where they can get the product, at what rate. And once some of these things are lost, it becomes a problem to effect exchange. We have some elements of the communication mix or the promotion mix which includes the personal selling, advertising, public relation, publicity. These are different means with different objectives of reaching out to customers and informing them, persuading them, and reminding them of the organization's products and services. And then the last of the P is the place, or what we call distribution. The place, it works to provide a place utility for consumers. Channel of distribution. In our world today, people are looking for convenient means of obtaining goods and services without having to go through the trouble of going to the market. So it is this marketing function that makes it possible for them to get these products delivered to them. We can look at the distribution strategies available to marketers. First, we could have intensive distribution. Intensive. The word intensive means it is a heavy kind of distribution where the product is everywhere. And anybody can have that product in stock. And products that we use or we propose to use intensive distribution are low price products. Products that we can find in the convenience goods category that are easily available everywhere you want it. Products that are readily available and needs to be at the reach of customers. We use intensive distribution. Second, we have the exclusive. Exclusive. By exclusive distribution is a strategy where we use a single outlet to distribute because of the nature of the product. They are usually, it applies to products that are highly priced and in most cases requires an intermediary that can explain in details how the product works to the customer. We talk about the sale of some exotic cars. If you move around town, you could find a lot of car shops, but you may not see exotic brands in those car shops. If you're looking for exotic brands, there are specific outlets that have, the exclusive right of selling these things around a particular region or state, as the case may be. And then lastly, the selective distribution. This is the use of a small number of retail outlets. You can look at a dedicated distribution channel to distribute products. You can have products like computers, television sets, and some other appliances, some manufacturing equipment under this category. Yeah, so we can have consumers going to these shops and making inquiries and probably making purchases from these selected distributors. The idea is that if it is open to anybody to hold stock, they may not even understand how the product works. Some of these products are also technical products that may require some clear description and sometimes demonstration of how it works. So it is important to select some distributors, or some key distributors that would sell them such that they can be knowledgeable about the product and be able to explain them to the customers when they come to buy. I think with this, we've done justice to the marketing mix elements, otherwise known as the 4Ps. As always, I encourage you to ask your questions and send them via mail for now. Raise your comments as well. I will attend to all of it. Thank you for your time. And I still remain Chidera Boy. I'll meet you next time.